Hi, and welcome to the channel. Today we have a really quick, short and sweet cat and cow sequence for you. Great spinal mobility warm up that you can do really anytime during the day. So come and join me on the mat and we will just get started here in a nice child's pose. Your arms can come out in front of you or you can keep them alongside. Just starting our short practice with some nice breaths in and out through the nose. Start to tap into that breath. Feel the inhales filling us up with energy, expanding the body. And with every exhale, release and start to tap into our calm. Kind of like a whole body reset button for the day. In your child's pose, notice how the hips feel heavy. Shoulders are gliding down and wide across the back. Feel that point of connection between the forehead and the mat. As you start to relax with the wave and the flow of each breath in and out. On the next inhale, go ahead and push up, come into your tabletop. And we'll get started and we will start our cat and cow sequence with some cat and cows. So the shoulders are directly over the wrists and the hips are right over the knees in your tabletop position. Start to push into your hands, tuck the tailbone as you round through the middle back and come into your cat pose. On the exhale, the head drops and the chin slightly tucks. On the inhale, tilt the tailbone. Start to open through the chest, widen along the collarbone as you gaze up. Feel the stretch along the front side of the throat. And we'll take those cat and cows a few more times at your own pace, using the breath. Feel that motion starting from the hips. Pushing deeply into the shins to really arch that back on your cat pose and feel a really nice stretch through the upper body and the shoulders. You can pause in your cat or your cow at any time if you feel the need. Very good. We'll take one more here and then return to our tabletop, just coming to neutral for a moment. From tabletop, again, this time we'll round into the upper back as we tuck the tailbone, pushing into cat, but we'll start to sink the hips back towards the heels as we come into child's pose. And then flowing through the child's pose, allow the elbows and the forearms to plant onto the mat. And we'll start to shift the chest forward, staying low, starting to tilt the tailbone, gazing upward as we come back into a cow pose. And then we'll take that whole motion again. Exhale, pushing back, rounding into your cat pose, coming onto your heels. And then on the inhale, pushing up into the forearms, moving forward, straightening the arms as you come into cow. And we'll take this about 3 or 4 more times, using your breath. Now warming up through the entire body. We'll take one more. As we come up through cow, we'll just pause here, come back to neutral, maybe shift the hips a little bit back and forth. From your tabletop, we'll come into balancing table. Extend the left foot out behind you. The left hip is about even with the right hip. And then start to extend the right arm alongside the right ear. The thumb is pointed up towards the sky. From here, take a breath and inhale. On the exhale, bend the elbow, start to bend the knee as you round, tucking the tailbone, keeping your balance, tucking into a nice tight little ball, and then extend. Inhale as you reach the right arm out alongside the ear once more. We'll take that 3 more times, tucking, rounding it in, really compressing that chest to the left thigh, and then returning back to your balancing table. 2 more times. Tuck it in. Stay strong within that left arm. And extend it out. Last one. Starting to work the core. Extending it out long. And then return that right hand and the left leg back to the mat. And we return to our table. Taking that to the opposite side, begin by lifting the right leg out behind you, pushing out through the right heel, and then extend the left arm alongside the left ear. We bend and we exhale as we round, tucking it in, pulling the navel in, and then inhale, extend. Exhale, rounding, drawing that core in, staying super engaged, and then extend on the inhale. 2 more times, pulling everything in, and then reaching out long from the toes to the fingers. Last one. And then we'll return our hand and our leg back to the mat for our tabletop position. From tabletop, we'll tuck the toes and push back into our downward facing dog. Take a moment here, a nice inhale. Exhale it out through the mouth. One more. From your downward facing dog, we'll start to shift forward into our plank pose. The shoulders are directly over the wrists. From plank, we'll lower the knees, bring them to the mat, and then start to bend the elbows, shift the chest forward as your chest starts to come down, and then lift up into your cobra pose. The elbows are just slightly bent. From cobra, tuck the toes, push the hips back, and we'll return to our downward facing dog position. From downward dog, just lower the knees. Shift the hips back. We'll take a quick child's pose. Reach the hands out long in front of you. Really start to extend into that upper back. Feel the front part of the shoulders try to push down into the mat for a bigger stretch. On the next inhale, let's shift forward, come back into our tabletop. From tabletop, we'll take a little bit different movement in our cat and cow. And from here, we'll do some side bends. So we'll shift the hips towards the right as we gaze towards the right and crunch through those right side obliques. You feel the length of the rib cage really shortening there as we extend and lengthen on the left side. Reversing that, and we'll start to come through center as we gaze towards the left and feel the left ribs start to crunch as the right ribs expand. Taking that a few more times from side to side, shift the hips, gazing back. Make sure that you're taking it easy on your neck and that the bending movement is coming more from the spine and using the hips to shift from right to left. We'll do one last one, ending on the left, and then return back to center in our tabletop. And again, a different movement in our cat and cow. This time we'll take barrel rolls. So start to tuck the tailbone on the exhale, tucking the chin. And then from here, Draw a circle like you're inside a barrel and feel the chest coming down through a cow position, bending the arms and then rolling up over to the left as we push into the hands and again round once more as we come back into a cow pose. We'll take a few more of those in whichever direction you started. Feel free to pause at any spot that feels like it needs a little bit extra love, a little extra stretch today. And on this one, once we come to the top of our barrel, we'll reverse the motion and start towards the left, coming down, and then moving up towards the right. Really pushing into the hands, pushing the mat away from you. Feeling the shins stay strong and pushing into the mat. One more here, and we'll come back up and through center. Very good. From here, again, we'll come into balancing table, extend that right leg out behind, and then the left leg out behind, and the right arm alongside the right ear. So balancing table pose. And from here, we'll do a little glute work. So we're pushing into the left foot. The left foot is flexed, really feeling the heel of the foot pushing out behind you. And from here, just little lifts, about 2 or 3 inches. So we're not dumping into the low back. We're still staying very strong in that back left hamstring, starting to engage into the left glute. We'll take 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, go ahead and lower that right hand down towards the mat, and you can lower the left foot down as well. Kick that right foot out. The shin will be at about a 45-degree angle. We're going to use that as a kickstand as we come through our supported side plank. So the left sole of the foot is on the ground, and the left hand is lifted up into the air as you take your gaze up towards the sky. Inhale here. And on the exhale, start to lift that left foot off of the mat. Engage through the core, stay strong. This is why we use our right foot as a kickstand for a little extra support. Now we'll take a kind of a back bend and start to pull that left hand back. The thumb facing the back part of the room. Kick the left heel back towards the back side of the room. Inhale here. On the exhale, can you bend into that left foot? Maybe take a bind with the left hand and then push the foot into the left hand as you open up the front side of the body for a little bit deeper back bend. And also a balance challenge here. Be mindful of the neck so you're not straining. Slowly release that left foot, extend it out behind you, lifting the hand back into the air. From here, lower the left foot down towards the mat, and you're in your supported side plank. Extend the left arm up towards the front of the mat. Push into the left side ribs. Lift into the chest as you rotate and try to get a little bit of sunlight on the chest. From here, lift that back leg up off of the mat. Bring the left hand up again into the sky, and we'll start to bring it down towards the mat, moving the right shin, bringing the left foot down into tabletop. From tabletop, we'll tuck the toes and push back into the downward facing dog. Take an inhale. Exhale, release it out. One more inhale in. Exhale out through the mouth. On the next inhale, come forward into your plank pose, staying strong and through the core, pushing the mat away from you. And then start to bend the knees, allow them to come to the mat as we bend the elbows and shift forward. Chaturanga lower down. Inhale up to our cobra pose. On the exhale, tuck the toes and push back into our downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, again, we'll lower the knees to the mat. Push the hips back and come into a child's pose. Taking a quick moment here. A little break for the wrists and for the arms. On the next inhale, come back up to all fours into our tabletop. And we'll take those side bends in our tabletop position. So shift the hips towards the right, looking back towards the right tush, and then moving it all towards the left. Feeling that action coming in from the hips. And we'll do 2 more on each side. Really good. Coming back into your tabletop, we'll take 1 more round of barrel rolls. Push into the hands, push into the shins as you tuck the tailbone and drop the head. And then start to rotate the torso around that barrel. As you come through the bottom, you're coming through cow. And then as you roll through the top, you exhale and come back into a cat-like position. Take a few more barrel rolls in this direction, and then we'll reverse it to the opposite side. You can use the breath, close the eyes if you feel like that feels good. Really making this movement your own. Go ahead and reverse the direction if you haven't already. Last one, and then we'll come back up into tabletop. All right, and from tabletop, we'll take that balancing table pose again. This time extend that right leg out behind, pushing through the ball of the foot, and then start to lift the left arm up and beside the left ear, extending long through the fingertips, really actively engaging through the arm and pushing through the back heel. Now, from our balancing table pose, we'll just take some of those little glute activation movements and move that right heel up about 2 inches. Again, protecting the low back so we're not coming too high. And we'll start to take about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, let's lower that left hand down to the mat. You can lower the right foot down to the mat as well as we shift the left shin over for our kickstand. From here, turning onto the outside edge of that right foot and opening the right arm up to the sky for our supported side plank. Inhale here and exhale. On the next inhale, can you lift that right foot off of the ground for a balance? And from here, we'll take that back bend. Start to move the right arm back behind the right ear so it's just barely in your peripheral. As you keep the right hip shifting forward, start to bend the right leg backwards. Maybe start to bend into that right knee, reach for the right foot with your right hand. And then as you take the bind, push the right foot like you're kicking into the right hand to feel an opening through the front side of the body. On an exhale, slowly release that right leg out. Lift the right hand up into the sky. And then from here, extend the right hand as you drop the right foot down towards the mat for an extended side plank pose. Nice deep breath in as you open through the top side of the ribs and rotate the chest up to face the sky. On the next exhale, lift the right arm up. Bring that right leg up off the mat again for a little more strength. And then slowly bring the right hand back down towards the mat. Keep that right leg lifted until you slowly plant it down back into your tabletop position, tucking the toes and then pushing into our downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale it all out. Take it, inhale. And exhale. From downward dog, we'll shift forward into our plank. From plank, lower the knees. Start to bend the elbows. Shift forward into your chaturanga. And then lift up, cobra pose. Elbows are slightly bent. Push back, downward facing dog on the exhale. Very good. From downward facing dog, we'll shift forward back into our tabletop. From this tabletop position, we'll tuck the toes. The shoulders are directly over the wrists and we'll lift. So we're the knees are lifted just about 1 or 2 inches off the mat in this little lifted tabletop. From here, start to round the back and push into the hands. Maybe push the hips back slightly for your rocket cat position. Really feel the engagement in the core here and also in through the quads. Come back forward into your lifted tabletop. Exhale, push back into your rocket cat position. Come forward into tabletop. Exhale, push back, rounding into the upper body. Come forward back into your tabletop. From tabletop, we stay lifted. The toes are still tucked. And we'll try for a little challenge on the arms. You may want to take the feet out a little wider. A little wider base will make you more stable. So keep the weight. We'll shift it slightly into the left hand as we lift the right arm alongside the right ear. And then bring it back down. We'll take that on the left side. Lift the left arm alongside the left ear and bring it back down. To the right. Shifting the weight over to the left, we pick that right hand up and then bring it down. Stay strong through the core. We'll lift that hand and then place it back on the mat. We'll do 2 more on each side. Right arm along right ear, back to the mat. Left arm along left ear, back to the mat. Last one, we got this. Stay strong. If you need to, go ahead and lower those knees. Left hand to left ear. Come to the mat. If your knees are still lifted, we'll hold here for 1 big breath. And on the exhale, release the knees down. Start to shift the hips back as we sit onto our shins. So we were just on our wrists for quite a long time. We'll go ahead and shake them out a little bit. Show the wrists a little bit of love because we were on them for quite a bit for that whole sequence. From here, go ahead and interlace the fingers and just draw some figure 8s. You might hear some clicking in the wrists, and as long as that doesn't hurt, that's perfectly fine. Very good. From here, extend the hands out in front of you and just start to make a fist really fast. Draw the fingers, extend them out long. Getting some more movement into the hands and especially into the forearms. You'll feel this if you do this for a long amount of time. Awesome. Go ahead and take a break there. We'll come back up into a tabletop and just do a couple more exercises. Start to move the fingers back and point them back towards you to open up the wrists. Maybe take them out to the side, facing the left and the right side of the mat. And as you do that, shift the torso from the left to the right. Just some nice gentle stretches. And then start to point the left fingertips back towards the left knee. As you do so, maybe bend into that left elbow as you roll the wrist up off the mat just a little bit. Pause if you feel any sharpness and back off a little bit. This isn't a big movement, it's pretty small. You may not even be able to lift your wrist off the mat more than a centimeter. All right, return that left hand back to face forward, and we'll take that on the right side, spinning the right fingers down, and then starting to slowly bend that right elbow if you can, and then roll that right wrist up off the mat. You might notice a difference from one hand to the other as well. All right, now we'll come back through our tabletop and sit the hips back, take the feet off to one side, and swing them out in front of you. From here, we'll keep the soles of the feet on the mat, and we'll take a couple of cat-cows just in a seated position. So for some leverage, take the hands and bring them around the back side of the thighs. From here, take an inhale, sit tall, and on the exhale, round the back. Tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. You'll feel yourself shift back a little bit. Maybe straighten the arms somewhat. And then on the inhale, sit tall. And then draw the shoulder blades together as you gaze upward, look up and open up through the throat and the front of the chest. A few more like that. Exhale, rounding through the back. Inhale, looking up. And you'll feel yourself rocking back and forth on the sit bones. One more exhale round. And then on the inhale, come up. One last good stretch. From there, return to neutral. Take the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to spread out wide. Interlace the fingers and draw them underneath the feet for butterfly. Take an inhale, sit tall. And on an exhale, fold forward, starting from the hips. And then we'll just start to relax into the pose, maybe rounding through the middle part of the back, allowing the head to drop down and be heavy. On the next inhale, slowly lift up, allowing the head to come last. As you return upright, sit tall through the crown of the head. And you can stay where you're at. I'm just going to spin around to face you. Come into a cross-legged seat. Take the left hand to the heart and the right hand to the abdomen. And just breathe here. We'll start to close out our practice. Feel the hips relax. The knees start to sink down a little bit closer to the mat with every breath. As you inhale, feel the chest rise and the sides of the ribs expand. When you exhale, feel the shoulders relax down along the back, creating extra space between your shoulders and your ears. Feel the length of your neck. You can stay in this space as long as you feel that you want to stay and relax. This is also a great time to maybe do your pranayama or meditation practice if you have that in your day. If you are ready to come out, go ahead and blink the eyes open. Release the hands. And that was our sequence for today. Nice little spinal mobility and a little extra activation at the end into the core. I hope you had fun and enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button, hit subscribe, and you'll have more sequences like this every single week. Full-length sequences free of charge. And I hope you have an amazing day. Take care. Bye.